This demonstration talks about the drill press. Now, the drill press is a fairly simple machine to use. You simply put the bit in there, put your board under it, and pull, and it drills through for you. The drill press has a variable speed on this side. If I loosen this, I can pull it up and down, and the speed of the machine will go up and down. For most drilling operations, I leave it in the middle, approximately in the center, so around 1,500 RPMs, give or take. So for the test, it says what speed do you cut most things at? Just put medium speed. Now the drill press, we usually use a twist drill bit. And this is a keyless chuck, kind of like a drill, like a hand drill. And you can put it in simply and then tighten this right here, and now it's in. It's very easy. But the thing to remember is this chuck has 3 fingers on top that grab the bit, and when you tighten it, it actually pulls the bit up just a little bit as it tightens. So if we put the bit all the way in there and then try to tighten, the bit's already at the top. It's maxed out. So I can't tighten this all the way like I want to. So loosen it up and simply pull it out about 1/4 of an inch, and now when I tighten it down, now it tightens better. It'll stay there. It won't fall out in the middle of your cuts. On the drill press, it has a moving table on it. This is called a backing board, but the whole table will move up and down. Before you need to move it, there's a crank right here. Before you move it, there's a bolt on the back side that you need to loosen. Loosen that first, and now it's simple. I can raise it up and lower it back down, no problem. If you forget to loosen that bolt first, tighten that back up, then the teeth that are right here, there's a bar with teeth on it that go all the way down, that will start to bend, or you'll shear off the teeth. They won't mesh together anymore, and then I got to buy another one. So make sure this bolt in the back is loosened first. The backing board is on here, not necessarily to protect the table, because I've got a nice big hole here and I won't drill into it, but mostly because it'll give me a better cut with it. Now, let me quick show you. If I take the backing board off and drill a hole, if I go just right through it. Now it's hard to see, but I've got a lot of tear out here and there. It actually grabbed the last 1/16 of an inch of the board and ripped it out. And the reason is because there's nothing below it. There's nothing to support that last 1/16 of an inch. Well, we put in the backing board, and that gives us that support. Doesn't matter which side you use. I'm just going to pick a spot that doesn't have a lot of holes in it. Now when I use it, the machine doesn't know that this is 2 separate pieces. It feels like it's going through one solid piece. So now when I look, you can see there's the one I did previously. It tore out a lot around it. This one is a nice clean hole on both sides. So the backing board allows us to get a much cleaner cut. It doesn't allow that tear out that without it. That happens without the board. So as we continue on, so the backing board gives you a cleaner cut. The closer your hand is to the blade, the safer it is. Now I know that generally goes against all the other safety for the other machines. Generally you want to keep your hand way out here, so you want to be away. And I understand that. In this case, this is what usually happens. If you're too far away, the board, you go through it, and the machine wants to lift the board up off the table. Now I push back down again, but if I do it again, it'll go all the way up. It'll lift it all the way up and want to lift it off the table. Then when you push it down, it didn't go flying out of your hand, but you can see the holes here are very oval. They're not square at all. I mean, they're just messed up on both sides. So no matter what you do, the hole isn't going to turn out right. So we need to keep our hand closer to this bit or the blade here, so that it's between my thumb and forefinger, so that the pressure of my hand is straight down from the bit, from the chuck. So now when I do it with my hand nice and close, straight down and back up again, and I'm pushing straight down, then that doesn't happen. The thing I need everyone to remember and to not be afraid of is if I touch this bit while it's running, I can actually wrap my hand around it completely, and it doesn't cut sideways. I mean, it doesn't cut here. It only cuts straight down. So if I put my hand straight under and did it, then you would injure yourself. But holding on to the sides and like this and bumping into it like this isn't going to hurt your hand. So here, if I went down and accidentally bumped into it with my hand, that's okay. I mean, it's not going to hurt you. It may alarm you a little, but I promise you're going to be fine. So the rule on this, the closer your hand is to this bit, the better it's going to happen. Now I also have in this cabinet right here next to it what are called a forstner bit. I have a whole set of them. This one's a little bit different. I would not reach in and grab this. That could do some damage to you. So there are, bits that are unsafe. I would still try to put my hand fairly close, but this one you can usually be a little further away and you're still going to be fine. When you're drilling, you notice each time I drill, I'm always pushing the sawdust out of the way. A little bit of sawdust on there will make the board kind of slippery. It'll want to spin around. But more than that, the sawdust under it will lift the board up off the table just a little bit. Now, instead of having a perpendicular cut here to here, that's not 90 degrees. Now, if I lift it, now my cut's going to be angled slightly, skewed. So it's not going to line up the way that you want it. So make sure to just blow away all that sawdust, brush it away, whatever it takes. If I have a tiny piece of wood, little chunk of wood that I'm really scared is going to fall out of my hand and start spinning around, all I've got to do is put a clamp on it. I've got big blue ones in the back, I've got red ones, orange ones, the small spring clamps that you can use, C-clamps, whatever. Take a clamp onto the piece, and then I hold onto the clamp, and that will keep it from spinning out. Now, once in a while, I do have students that actually do lose their grip. And this is kind of what it looks like. I'm going to drill into the center here and let go of it, and this is what happens every time. You go too fast, you don't have a good grip, and then off it goes like this and starts spinning around. Now notice that I'm keeping the bit into the board a little bit, because if that works its way down, it could go flying in any direction. I don't know where. If this happens to you, your job is to turn it off as soon as you can possibly think of it. If you just let go of this and duck and cover, this will work its way off and then go flying somewhere in my shop, and somebody's going to get hurt. So turn off the machine as quickly as you can think about it, as you can, and then just unscrew it by hand or, do it this way. Either way works. Then it comes right off, and then either re-drill it or, get a new piece, whatever it is you need. What I don't want you to do, let me put that back in, while that's spinning, I do not want you to reach in and grab it. And I've seen it a lot of times in my years of teaching. Every single time somebody's reached in to grab a spinning board, it'll either hit the tips of their fingers, and that hurts a lot, but more often it hits the knuckle on the back of their thumb, because they reach in, comes around, and hits their thumb right there, and that really hurts. So don't resist that temptation to reach in and grab it. Don't grab the board, and don't leave it there either. Make sure you pull it off. So on the question on the back, if the board does fly from your hand, the first thing you do, of course, is turn it off. Then the last one talks about loose clothing and hair. Girls, if you have long hair, make sure it's tied back. Guys, if you're wearing, or everybody, if you're wearing a hoodie or anything that has really long sleeves, don't ever have them come down past your thumb or pull up your sleeves. Cords that dangle from a hoodie, anything that gets tangled in here it's just going to get wound up and pull you in. So be very careful not to put anything even close to this that's going to wind up and injure you. Drill press is probably one of the easiest machines we have in the shop, and it's easiest to use as long as you keep your hand nice and close to that bit and go smoothly, evenly through your board. We do have times that when we're cutting thick material, let's say I've got a double thick piece of wood here. If I lower this down a little bit, there we go. Once in a while we have boards that are 2 or 3 inches thick. There we go. And what happens is, as you're cutting, you cut into the board, and then about halfway through you start seeing smoke. And you're wondering, what am I doing wrong? What is wrong? What happens is the sawdust from the board really kind of fills up these flutes, is what they're called, and they stay there, and they keep getting packed in tighter and tighter the more you pull. All that wood in there is rubbing against more wood, and you know what happens when you rub 2 sticks together? You get friction and heat, and that heat starts to smolder and burn. If it gets too hot, it'll actually remove the temper out of the bit. That extra heat will make the bit weaker and dull. So if you are noticing that it keeps smoking, here's all you got to do. It's called clearing the chips. You cut, it's a thin board, but that's okay. Cut halfway, raise it out and clear the chips, and then cut all the way. Now with a thin board, of course, it doesn't stay in there very much. But it's called clearing the chips. Go halfway through your board, pull it back out, clear those chips out really quick, and then go ahead and just finish your cut. That will ease that pressure and that heat on the bit and make it last a lot longer. Drill press is a great machine to use, so make sure that you're using it safely every single time.